Shelby County voters will decide on a new sheriff in August. I interviewed both candidates recently about their plans to fix the issues at the jail. So structural issues at 201 Poplar range from bug infestations, broken door locks to plumbing issues. Managerial issues range from overcrowding, staffing shortages, and alarming numbers of inmate deaths, 65 since 2019. Current Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner hasn't been successful in garnering enough support or securing funds to build a new jail, but the need is evident. I asked both candidates hoping to be elected as the next sheriff in August whether the county needs a new jail or if they can just fix what already exists.
I think that most cities have a jail that's already established in the downtown area. There's a lot of vacant buildings. There's a lot of land that can just be redeveloped. I want to split the misdemeanor arrests, your narcotics arrests, your mental health patients that come into the jail that have committed some type of assault where they've been arrested, and get those people the help that they need, but not in 201 Poplar. 201 Poplar needs to be your maximum security prison waiting for your cases to go to court. You're going to come in, you're going to be locked down. We can fix some of those issues. Everything can be repaired. Nothing at this point is not repairable.
We know, just dealing with Tennessee Correction Institute, that the current jail right now, if it were to open, like as if it was a brand new jail, that it wouldn't be certified because there are so many laws and so many recommendations that have changed over the years. Just something as simple as how much natural light comes inside of the facility. And right now, it's very little. I do think long term, as a strategy, we have to address that by building a new jail, one that meets today's standards. In fact, next week I'll be traveling to tour a jail that's meeting today's standards in terms of mental health and safety and security. But then also, I think we have to do things today. There's a tactical approach to address the issues that's occurring in our jail today.
So I'm going to open it up to Reverend Whalen, because in our political pressure round, I asked you, can a new sheriff get a new jail? And you said, yeah. But what do you think about the idea of keeping 201 Poplar downtown and using vacant buildings to expand it?
I surprisingly agree with a lot of what Les said in terms of using vacant space downtown, vacant land, vacant buildings. I think Chamber of Commerce, Chamber of Commerce, Chamber of Commerce. It keeps going through my mind. I love the ribbon cuttings and all the celebrations and patting themselves on the back, but they should take advantage of their relationships with commercial business owners, space owners, lessors downtown, and see if we can come up with some space contiguous to the 201 Poplar. Do what we can to, if we got to move people out of some spaces in the interest of the jail, let's do that. I think short term we could do something that's close to what he said. I don't think that's out of the question. I know that elected officials in Memphis and Shelby County have been kicking the can of the jail down the road for 30 years. When I started working for the trustee, Bob Patterson, that was an issue then. It's still an issue now. Somebody is going to have the courage to make it happen now. In terms of a long term, in terms of a new prison and new jail and all that, I don't know, but it has to be done. Something has to be done. Can't just keep letting people die at 201 Poplar and act as if it's nothing, because families are impacted.
Susan, your takeaways from both sides.
Well, I think everybody has an opinion on the jail. I think the only thing we know for sure about our jail is that 65 people have died since 2019. We don't know anything else. We have been told that we need structural changes and all sorts of things. And somebody even at one time pulled out the number that it's going to cost $1.4 billion to replace a jail. Well, who said? According to who? We've never had a study. We don't know. And here's the fundamental problem right now, as I see it. We always elect law enforcement officers as sheriffs. A law enforcement officer is not a trained correctional professional. They don't know how to run a jail. And we have suffered from that. The only idea I could throw out there, and as a critic, is that we ought to hire, Shelby County, the Sheriff's Department, ought to go back and hire Mark Luttrell, our former sheriff and former Shelby County mayor. He is a trained corrections professional. And when he was sheriff, he worked with the district courts, and he turned that mess around.
Yeah.
He changed the culture. He changed the operations. I mean, and the overcrowding was much, much better under Luttrell, and he was praised by the courts. So he goes on and becomes mayor, and it slides into oblivion again. We ought to hire him as a consultant, let him lead the task force, and tell us what we really do need to have. We don't know. We've got a bunch of elected officials who are using it as a chance to have their say and fulfill individual agendas. That's not what this is all about. There's something to be said for a community that can come up with $550 million for a sports arena and sports facilities and cannot come up with enough money to either build a jail or a new city hospital for the poor. There's something to be said about us.
Last point on the jail.
Yeah, I just think that both of the candidates made pretty good points here, and this is a debatable issue. But Pepper, you and I talked about this off the air. This is a policy issue, and let's let them debate the policy issue here. But when it comes down to voting and when it comes down to electing, this is a partisan election, and it's going to be decided on politics alone. And that's why, at this point, Buckner has the upper hand because this is a heavily Democratic electorate. They're already mad about what the Republicans have done to this city and county, and so they're not going to talk and focus that much on the policy here. As worthy as it is to have a discussion about the jail and a future of the jail, downtown, not downtown, repairing, replacing, this is a political election, and politics is going to drive it.
Well, let me make one more point. If we as a community decide to spend $1 billion on a new jail, then we're going to have to issue bonds to pay for that.
Yeah.
And if we issue bonds for over 25 years, the interest that we might have to the debt service that we have to pay on those bonds will be $100 million a year over 25 years.
I agree with about Luttrell too. I think Luttrell was great.
Okay, real quick, because we still have a second part to this. Now that the DOJ is offering $300 million for cities to start their own task forces, I did ask the sheriff's candidates about the difference between providing resources versus deploying federal boots on the ground. It was a question that I did get to ask Brad Less because that announcement came after I interviewed Chief Deputy Buckner. But Buckner did talk about the pros from the Memphis Safe Task Force. Let's take a listen.
We've mismanaged resources from day one. The jail is in shambles. If we managed our resources correctly, we wouldn't have the problem. So sure, we're just going to flood money in for it to go somewhere where. So let's bring the boots on the ground is what drove that crime down. Okay, it wasn't resources.
My interactions or my experience with the task force so far has been positive. You know, we've been able again to have federal assets at our touch, you know, within our reach. And that's been huge, again, when we're talking about solving cases. To have our law enforcement deputies actually working alongside federal agents, the DEA, ATF, the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, that's invaluable training that they are receiving that didn't cost us anything.
To quick comment on that.
Those are resources. Those boots on the ground that we have gotten from the federal government are resources. And if you ask anybody in private, well, do you wish that the task force would leave? Everybody would say no, because the crime is down and people feel safer. Those are resources.
Quick point.
I would just say that boots on the ground are important, they're right, but boots on the ground cost money. And so far, this community doesn't have the money to increase the boots on the ground without the special task force.
Okay.
I'm going to pass on this.
You talked about it
We'll
enough.
start arguing again, and it just...
On that note, we're going to switch gears to the City Council. After the break, we'll hear from one vice chairman who made comments that the Redbirds did not like, and a nod to Otis's new book. Stay with us.